Tonight, a Saskatoon homeowner gets the opportunity to thank the man who saved people's lives when his house went up in flames. And an Indigenous father-daughter duo passed down their hockey skills to the next generation. Plus, edible artwork. A Regina woman inspires others to see the produce aisle as more than food.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It's Wednesday, February 22nd. CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Hello, and thank you for joining us. A Saskatoon man who lost everything in a recent house fire is just grateful no one died. He wanted to thank the Good Samaritan who sprung into action to save lives, and he invited us along for that moment. CBC's Dan Zakreski reports.
Good to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
It's a hug forged in fire.
I'm very sorry for your loss.
It was a Thursday morning in November, just before noon. Mike Napper was driving to work when he spotted this. He suspected people were still inside.
I went on the back and the fire was really taking off, so I kind of came back out front. I don't know, I panicked, but I phoned 911, and I was like, there's a fire, we got to see what's going on. Like, I don't know if there's people inside, there's a car, there's lights on. And a guy came up and said, do you need a hand? And I was like, yeah. And I was running around, went to the back end, it was taking off even more. So there's a window I was knocking on, and there was no response. So we ended up kicking the door in, going downstairs, pulling out two of the tenants, I guess, and a cat.
It was Stan Dimnick's house. He and his wife lived upstairs. They were out grocery shopping when the fire started. But he had two friends living in the basement. One was blind and hearing impaired, the other cognitively disabled.
The fact that they were all out was an incredible blessing. I don't think we could have accepted any harm to these two guys. Very gentle guys. And for Mike to do what he did is just absolutely incredible. That he was able to do, and thinking that clearly. I know Mike doesn't think that he was thinking very, very clearly. He made sure that the people were safe, he made sure the house was clear, and made sure the guys got out. That's incredible.
Stan says he and his wife lost all of their material belongings in the fire, but he says they'll be all right. They still have their two friends who were living in the basement, and they now have a new friend, one who just happened to be driving by. Dan Zakreski, CBC News, Saskatoon.
A couple of Regina's community fridges have been shut down temporarily for security or sanitary reasons. The community fridge next to Carmichael Outreach in the Heritage neighborhood is usually stocked with donated food, but two fridges have been stolen, and volunteer organizers found people sleeping inside the cupboard. They're looking for solutions so they can once again offer free groceries to those in need.
I think there's a lot of people that are really upset that we've had to shut the doors, because this was their source of food. This was a way that they could have that extra bit, because food bank's pretty far from here. If you don't have a ride to get there or a way to get there, or the streets are icy and you have accessibility issues, there's nowhere else. You got places like Carmichael that are serving food. You got lots of other community-based organizations that are doing that, but a lot of them have they have a closing time, whereas the fridge is open all the time. Anyone can come at any time to get what they need, and you might have people coming here to access at 2:30 in the morning.
The community fridge in North Central also faced security concerns. Organizers there recently put a stop to large food deliveries. But this week, the fridge resumed operations. An organizer says they're evaluating how well it's working. Two other community fridges in Regina are located in the Cathedral area and at the university. A Saskatchewan organization that's been trying to reduce the stigma around abortion says it won't be silenced by vandalism. The group's pro-abortion sign in Regina was defaced less than 2 weeks after it was put up. A vandal changed the message from "abortion is health care" to "abortion is murder." The banner was part of an attempt to increase pro-abortion messaging around the province. The group put up its first billboard last year along Highway 11. Volunteers say the recent vandalism has only reinforced for them the need to improve public understanding of this issue.
It's not deterring the cause at all. It just lets us know that we need to reach even more people to get our message out there.
The abortionist healthcare group is ordering a new banner for Regina and fundraising for more billboards around the province. Father-daughter duo Scott and Sydney Daniels have become role models for many young Indigenous hockey players. Scott played in the NHL, and Sydney is the Winnipeg Jets' first female scout. They were both in Regina this week, helping bring up the next generation on the ice. Louise Bigilgo reports.
Here we go, here we go.
Sydney Daniels has made it big in hockey. The 27-year-old from Mistawassis, Nihayawak First Nation is an NHL scout, but she makes time for this.
2 hands on your stick, 2 hands, 2 hands. There
a hockey school and safe space for Indigenous youth in Saskatchewan.
There we go, get up, get up, get up. There you go, good job.
Racism and discrimination, as much as we wish and hope that it isn't a thing still, it is.
Daniels runs the hockey school with her dad, Scott Daniels, a former NHL player.
We all needed somebody to look up to try to find some kind of encouragement, to see how that they were doing it.
This hockey mom from Pasqua First Nation brought 2 sons and a daughter to the camp.
It's in Regina, it was close to home, and it's all First Nation, so it's First Nation coaches, and yeah, it was exciting to be here and part of it.
Daniel's grandfather built an outdoor rink for his grandchildren on his farm. He passed away last year, but, she says, this camp is a way to remember him.
We feel him here when we're on the ice.
And she's passing on his legacy to other children, like 10-year-old Savannah from Kaktuwishtahow First Nation.
Today was the shootout because I got a lot of shots. They shot on me lots.
Okay, turn around for me. Turn around again. They really give me a huge source of passion and purpose, and you know, they make me want to keep doing this forever and hopefully help more and more Indigenous youth in the province and maybe even beyond. So I don't know if they know how special they are to me, but they're incredibly special to me.
This camp started 5 years ago with 50 Indigenous kids and has grown to nearly 400. All of them skating away with more than hockey skills. Louise Bigilgo, CBC News, Regina.
Tonight, Sydney Daniels is part of a panel discussion at the University of Regina on reconciliation in sport. The panel will feature coaches, athletes, and former athletes. You can watch it live on the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel starting at 7 o'clock. A 14-year-old gymnast from La Ronge is representing Team North for the first time at the Saskatchewan Winter Games. Mackenzie Boyer was 2 years old when she joined her first gymnastics class. It was a long trek to the Regina Games, but she's had a whole community rallying behind her.
I'm very excited for the Winter Games. I remember from a young age I was kind of self-taught, and I remember doing my first backflip on the grass in my backyard. That's a good memory.
Mm-hmm. We definitely could not have done any of this without our La Ronge family. You know, there's a lot of transient people in La Ronge, and not a lot of us don't have any biological family there. So we're only able to do this thanks to a lot of our friends that would drive the others to their activities or have them for sleepovers if we were getting home late. My husband worked shift work, so sometimes he wasn't necessarily around. So yeah, definitely a lot of community support to keep her going. We were asked years ago about sending kids, but we just didn't have that level of competitors. So I thought, wow, look at all this, how far it's come that we've got a kid that can have that opportunity.
Nice. Picture in there. Look in there.
What extreme cold warning. Members of Get Outside Kids Club are living up to the group's name. They're exploring Regina's Les Sherman Park during their week off from school. They're also warming up inside the Art Gallery of Regina while learning about bees, thanks to a neat exhibit there. Nature Regina runs the club from February to June. It's free to participate. Stay with us. Your weather forecast is coming up after the break. Rising food prices have Canadians feeling the pinch at the grocery store and in restaurants. Because of the higher cost of eating out, some customers are pulling back on tips. So some restaurants are adopting a new business model that gets rid of tipping. And they say diners are eating it up. Sophia Harris has the story.
At this Vancouver restaurant, customers are asked not to tip their servers.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Some are caught off guard.
So then the no tipping policy?
We're just a no tipping restaurant.
Co-owner Priscilla Dio says servers signed on to the policy because they earn well above minimum wage and have full benefits. And those costs have been factored into the menu prices.
As business owners, it's our responsibility to pay our staff. It's not up to a customer to pay our staff.
It's a concept that many customers would like to catch on. According to a new survey, 62% of Canadians polled said they're feeling pressured to leave bigger tips, and the majority would prefer a no-tipping, all-inclusive model.
So it provides a lot of certainty for us when we're coming out to eat.
It's really great that servers can get paid a fair wage apart from having to rely on tips.
Several Canadian restaurants have adopted the no-tipping model, but experts say don't expect to see it on menus across the country.
It's really idealistic to think that somehow Canada can convert to a non-tipping culture like Japan or like Scandinavia. It is so deeply entrenched in the way we think of the hospitality experience.
And a macchiato. At this Toronto cafe, some customers are stuck on traditional tipping.
I feel that people should be allowed to tip accordingly with how the service is.
And then I'm going to just clear these. The owner supports the no-tipping model, but isn't ready to serve it up because she says boosting wages would mean higher menu prices. Inflation has already driven up restaurant prices by 8% this year alone.
My worry is that people would come in and say, I don't want to pay $15 for a breakfast sandwich. I'm going to go to the place where I can pay $11 and choose 10% tip.
So, for now, it appears tipping remains on the table at most Canadian restaurants. Sophia Harris, CBC News, Vancouver.
This weather update is brought to you by the Capital Automotive Group. Trade and upgrade is on now.
Weather specialist Ethan Williams joins us now, and I shiver thinking about being one of those kids in that outdoor camp. What does the rest of the week look like for them, Ethan?
Yeah, I think they're still going to be shivering, and unfortunately, it's just on a week where they're out of school, of course. It just has to be the coldest week of the year so far. But just how cold is it? Well, extreme cold warnings in effect from north to south, east to west through all of the province now, all regions being impacted by this. Wind chills down between minus 45 and 50 tonight, especially in the northern grain belt, I think is where we'll see the worst of those. And temperatures right now sitting about the mid-minus 20s in a lot of the province. A closer look at south and central shows, again, the coldest air kind of in east central sections right now, getting close to around minus 30 in some parts. And really, even traditionally where it's warmer in the southwest, you're not too warm today, sitting into the low to mid-minus 20s. But again, it's the wind chills that are really telling the story here, into the mid-minus 30s in portions of the north. But surprisingly, it's actually south and central really getting cold now. And you can see there is a spot just kind of in central Saskatchewan where we're seeing those now into the minus 30s, and even in the southwest getting close to minus 40. So just another visual of how cold things are. This is, compared to where we should be this time of year, our normal daytime high. This is where we were at 3 o'clock this afternoon. A lot of us some 20 degrees colder than normal. That includes Regina and Estevan. The worst of it, again, kind of in west central Saskatchewan, where this time of year you should be around minus 4. whereas today you were around minus 25. And even in the north of the province, a good 10 to 15 degrees below normal. There is the possibility that we could see a little bit of snow in the south of the province tonight from a system in the States, maybe 1 to 2 centimeters closer to the southern border. The rest of the south will remain mainly cloudy, and then high pressure moving into start clearing things out tomorrow. I think still cloud cover lingering in the south tomorrow, but much of the rest of the province remaining mostly clear. And then Friday, we should get progressively clearer as we head into the weekend. We're looking for possibly a little bit of wind gusts tomorrow in the north of the province. That could bump up those wind chills just a bit more. And in southwestern Saskatchewan, I think we'll see windy conditions on Friday. But again, tonight, between really minus 40 to 45 is what we're seeing. And frostbite here possible in just a few minutes' time in a lot of the province. Even into mid tomorrow morning, wind chills could still be hovering in the minus 45 to minus 50 range in the far north. For Regina, over these next few days, we are looking at that warm up though. And as I said, things will progressively get sunnier as we go along here. And those overnight lows going to pull away from the minus 30 mark. And again, by Sunday, we're looking at very nice conditions. And then things dropping off a little bit, but not by all that much, actually remaining quite nice. Saskatoon, next couple of days here, wind chills will still be within the kind of that minus 30 range, but you should see sunnier conditions. You're just a bit further north from that system that's moving through. A little bit of snow possible on Monday, but overall, Natasha, once we can get through these next few days, forecast looking not all that bad as we round out February.
That sounds great to me, Ethan. Thank you.
You bet.
Both of Saskatchewan's university women's basketball teams are heading to the Canada West semifinals this week. The University of Regina Cougars rank 4th in the country. They face off against Calgary on Friday. Then on Saturday, the top-ranked University of Saskatchewan Huskies take on Alberta. Whichever teams win those games go on to the Canada West Finals on March 3rd, meaning we could see a Saskatchewan showdown. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. Russian President Vladimir Putin held a meeting with China's top diplomat today. Moscow is denying there was any discussion of a Chinese peace plan to help end the war in Ukraine. But both countries say they're ready to deepen their strategic cooperation, even as the war changes their relationship. CBC's Briar Stewart has more.
When Russia's president met China's top diplomat, there were overtures about a rock-solid, unshakable bond. We're reaching new frontiers, proclaimed Vladimir Putin. Wang Yi described the friendship as immune from outside influence. We will not be overwhelmed by coercion and pressure from third parties, he said. But the Ukraine war has changed the dynamic. Russia needs China and its markets more than ever before. This week, both countries are taking part in military drills off the coast of South Africa. China has said it's neutral when it comes to Ukraine, but analysts say it's clear Xi Jinping doesn't want to see Putin fail. It's just that China's support isn't absolute.
China and Russia under Xi Jinping is still a strategic partnership. The rhetoric of an unlimited friendship is over the top. There are clear limits to what the Chinese will do for the Russians.
He says China wants to avoid being the target of secondary sanctions that could be triggered if the country decides to help Russia on the battlefield.
A growing concern on our part that China is considering providing lethal support to Russia in its aggression against Ukraine.
China dismissed those concerns. 1 year on, Russia isn't acknowledging its defeats. In fact, quite the opposite. It's celebrating. Putin! This patriotic concert was held to mark Russia's Defender of the Fatherland Day. The president led the crowd in a group cheer. There are reports some left even before he spoke, but cameras captured only enthusiasm. I came to support the political course of our president and our country, says this man. Putin says that China's president will visit Moscow in the coming months. It's expected that Xi Jinping will be making a speech on Friday appealing for peace. But officials with Russia's foreign ministry say there was no talk of any peace plan in the meetings. Briar Stewart, CBC News, London.
Tonight on The National, CBC's chief correspondent Adrienne Arsenault is in Ukraine's capital city, Kyiv. She'll be bringing you special coverage all week, along with our correspondents. Watch The National from Ukraine tonight at 10 p.m. on CBC TV. You can also stream it on CBC Gem and CBC News Explore. And Ethan is back with another look at tomorrow's forecast.
Another very frigid one, Natasha. We're looking at minus 27 tomorrow in Regina at 8 a.m. Mostly cloudy again. I think we'll escape the flurries and the light snow possibly happening overnight, but the wind chill still at minus 37. Of course, this is the week of the Saskatchewan Winter Games in Regina, and for para-Nordic skiing happening tomorrow at noon. Going to be very, very chilly still at minus 24, wind chill of minus 32. So if you're going to that or if you're going to be watching that event, make sure, of course, that you are bundling up. It's going to be at Douglas Park in Regina, I believe. Minus 31 tomorrow in Saskatoon with a wind chill of minus 41. Still mostly cloudy, but we will get clearing, I think, by the afternoon hours. And in Saskatoon and generally central Saskatchewan, we are looking for clearer skies tomorrow. Temperature's not going to get much above this, though, I don't think. And of course, for the northern grain belt, you will be even colder with those wind chills feeling like minus 50 in some spots tonight, Natasha.
Great. Thank you for that, Ethan.
You bet.
A Regina woman is making edible artwork out of fruits and vegetables. Hilda Shangatola has been carving fruit and training others how to do it for nearly a decade. She never planned to become an artist or a teacher, but she says traumatic events made her want to focus on creating joy and inspire others to be healthy at the same time.
Watermelons are a popular choice, obviously. Cantaloupes, honeydews, cucumber. I had attended a wedding and I just saw this beautiful display of fruits by the caterer, and I thought, okay, this is good, looks nice. There were no carvings. And after asking her some questions, and she talked about her business, and I went away for days. I just wouldn't stop thinking about it, and I did a little bit of digging. And my research, I found out that fruit carvings are actually an industry of its own. It's personal to a large extent because my sister passed away from cancer. She was only 27, and her illness gave me a lot more insight into how directly related our diet is to cancer, because when we eat diets rich in fruits and vegetables, we drastically reduce our chances of getting cancer. Fruit carving was just a perfect fit. Even though it came from a sort of a sad story, it was a perfect fit, and I just was amazed by the art, and I thought, this is what I really want to do. And even 9 weeks later, I lost my dad in a car accident. So it was 2 of them in less than 3 months. It really improved my mental health, and because it requires a lot of focus, and the self-fulfillment was great. Like I could turn one ordinary fruit and vegetable that I would see in the grocery store and just walk by and just turn it into a piece of art. It's also about people realizing that it doesn't matter what art form you can do. I'm hoping that this art form still inspires people and pushes them to be creative and realize that no matter what, as long as they're determined, they can do anything.
That's it for us tonight. For news anytime, head to cbc.ca/sask or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. Ethan will be back with more local news at 11. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.